I was one of the few who decided to leave. Each region or each country that I live in contributed to making me.
Made in international China. Welcome back to another episode of Captain Bagrat podcast, where we're on a mission to fight boring news about Asia and Australia. It's a tough job, but someone's got to do it. As always, we are recording from Downtown Chinatown. And today, I've got Will! Hi,
Hi everyone.
Will! So, Will is doing me a massive favor to talk about his international experience as an international student in the US, in Singapore as well, in Australia, but your origin was from...
China.
Ah! How cool is that? So I thought maybe we'll call this episode Made in International China.
Yeah, that sounds like a good name.
Because, you're technically made in China,
Yeah.
but you're very international.
Yeah, very international, yeah.
So I'm just going to ask you, where is your center of gravity? Like, how do you identify yourself?
Oof.
Tough question.
That's a difficult question, yeah. It feels wrong for me to just single out every single country because I think growing up, each region or each country that I live in has, contributed to making part of me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just identify myself as international. Yeah, I guess that's. But I mean, of course, my home is in China. I always remember my Chinese root, but I think I'll identify myself as more international person. Yeah.
International student is just really. Well, that's your previous life because you're not a student anymore.
Yeah.
So maybe international citizen?
Oh yeah, that's a cool name.
Yeah.
International citizen.
International citizen.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to experience international schooling instead of staying, let's say, in China and go through the domestic process?
So I think I left China when I was 15 and in the year of 2005.
All by yourself?
All by myself. My parents
God.
they've always been in China. And I think back then, going abroad to studies has always been a privilege. It's not that many people can actually afford going overseas. And I think the opportunity just came up. And for me, I just want to experience something new. Actually, I do want to run away from my parents for a while.
Yeah.
And that's why I just signed the contract and there I go. I went to Singapore to study.
Okay,
Yeah.
so tell me about your experience in Singapore. It's schooling there. So this would have been for high school.
Yeah, high school and a part of, they call it secondary school and junior college.
Mm-hmm.
So I studied in Singapore for about 5 years. So my time in Singapore is really, I don't remember much, to be honest, because I mean, Singapore, it's not a huge place.
But it's a very advanced, it's the hub of Asia,
I
right?
love Singapore, just to get it out there. Great food, people are great, the school was great. It's just, I think, I lived in a boarding school. I lived in I studied and lived in a very traditional sort of a British style private school.
Oh, wow.
And lived in a boarding school, so everything was pretty strict.
Yeah.
So we had curfew, where we had mandatory night study time in the library.
How many hours? Like 5 hours at night? Or given it's a Chinese system?
I think from 7:30 to about 9, 2 or 3 hours of mandatory study. Usually we have to go back and study more because it was a very competitive school. But overall, I enjoyed the experience.
Is it one of those stereotypical Chinese Singaporean education where everyone's a nerd? So you all study. Nobody actually crossed over to being like a rebel or...
I think there will be rebel everywhere.
Okay.
It's just the level of your rebelness might differ. Depends on which school you go to.
So in Australia, being a rebel will be like, talking back to the teacher and maybe... the worst would be punching other kids up.
Yeah.
So the Singapore version would be what?
I mean, skipping homework, that would be...
That's
cool.
Wow.
Wow, he skipped his homework.
What a rebel!
Yeah.
Were you a rebel?
Sort of. Maybe. Yeah. Well, I was just lazy. I was a rebel. Yeah.
But you fell into the rebel class.
Yeah, I was labeled as one of those group, the rebel group. But I was just being lazy. I wasn't trying to be cool at all.
Cool by being lazy. So what's your fondest memory from boarding school? Just having a a boy pack, or being a bully, or seeing that you were in the cool group?
The camaraderie is definitely the camaraderie, because I was in when I first went there, I was in the all boys school, and then later on we become once we started the junior college, I become a mixed school. But at first I was in the all boys school, and the camaraderie, my roommates, I former comrades that we work and study, eat and sleep together.
Oh gosh, how many in a room?
Four people in a room. Yeah, but I think for us, because we all went from China as a group. To Singapore. Yeah. So that group of, I would say, Chinese international students, I think in total 30 of us, we form a strong pact.
So what's the demographic in this particular boarding school? Is it mostly Singaporean kids or international kids, or?
I think mostly international kids. Because at the time, I don't know whether the Singapore government has it now, but at the time they had the exchange program that they will go around to different countries and select students to study in Singapore schools. So China has always been one of the big destinations for them to collect students.
Well, Singaporeans got Chinese heritage. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. So was it? This might be like a off the topic question, but was it like Harry Potter? Where him and Ronald and Holden, did you guys get up to mischief apart from not doing your homework?
We do have like house system. It's similar to some of those Australian schools. Yeah, house system. Yeah, we compete with each other, but it's not.
Your house wasn't called like Gryffindor or something.
No. But what did you say? The symbol of our house is wolf. So
wolf.
Yeah,
wow.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Now you're bringing Game of Thrones into this.
Yeah, Game of Thrones.
Oh, so it's more like Game of Thrones then, hey? And so when you graduated from this boarding school, did you think that you would stay in Singapore to study, or what was your thinking process from there?
I think after graduation, I just had enough of Singapore.
But did you get to go out and visit some of the limited sites that they have on the island, or?
Yeah, definitely. During the weekends, we definitely go out to that limited number of sites. Yeah, Sentosa, East Coast, Orchard Roses. Yeah. But I think I'm always the one who's trying to run away from. Well, I wouldn't say run away, but trying to experience something new. Okay. Yeah, so I decided to go to the US. So a lot of my friends actually stayed in Singapore. They continue their study in Singapore universities, and now they're working in Singapore, living in Singapore, having their families. But I was one of the few who decided to leave.
And what triggered that? Apart from you want to experience new things, was this because there's a particular university that was had a good reputation, or did you just want to go and experience the American lifestyle?
Yeah, both. Okay. Both. I think I was accepted into a couple of my dream schools.
Ooh, do tell. Which ones did you apply for?
I applied for a lot, but
it's a numbers game.
It definitely is a numbers game, and it costs you a lot too. I think you have to spend like $80 for each school that you apply for.
Are you kidding me? They charge money for applications?
Yeah.
In the US?
In the US.
And Singapore didn't do that?
No. I don't care. I think they charge you no matter what.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah. So back then I was accepted. So the school that I went to actually is University of California at Berkeley.
They're meant to be pretty good, I hear, Berkeley.
Yeah. And then I was also accepted into UCLA, which is University of California in Los Angeles. Yeah. And then ever since I got into these two schools, I stopped applying because, come on, California, there's no other place I want to go to.
Don't want to waste any more. Yeah, $80 application fees.
Yeah, and I'm a huge basketball fan. I'm a huge Lakers fan, and Lakers is based in LA, so I think California is just at the time I thought that's the place that I was meant to go to.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a sign that, you applied for all these and then the two universities accepted you.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, this is definitely a sign. Clearly not meant to be in Washington or somewhere else.
No, not in New York. I mean, no offense to New Yorkers, but I mean, it's California.
Yeah, the New Yorkers, is it New Yorkers or Washington that they have a basket? Is it? Hold on, in my thoughts. Washington has Washington Wizards, right?
Yeah. The DC, they have the Wizard.
That's right.
New York has the Knicks, and now they also have the Nets, which is based in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Yeah.
And out of all those, the California Lakers and the DC and New York, who's the stronger team?
In this season, I think LA is the strongest. Yeah.
I think they've always been a bit stronger.
They're traditionally a good team. In this season, LA has two teams, the Clippers and the Lakers. They both are pretty strong.
Yeah. But you're like, oh, dream place. Yeah. Basketball, best university.
Yeah, Hollywood.
Hollywood. I forgot. Yeah. So that was a big thing for you to be near Hollywood.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Yeah.
Just because you want to be a star?
No, I mean the lifestyle, the glamour. I mean, just think about it. Chilling out on the beach. Going up onto the mountain with the Hollywood sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can picture at that time. I can picture myself living this kind of life. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's so awesome! And then you finally got there. Tell me, when you got off the airplane, what did you feel? How did you feel? And what did you eat?
Oh, what did
the first thing you land in America? What do you eat? A burger? Hot dog?
I think the first thing that I did was I lost. I remember I donated $20 to someone that I don't even. I think I got scammed by the.
The first thing you got up there, like you got scammed.
That's my first experience. I was so excited. I get out of SFO, and someone walked up to me and said, "Hey, do you want to donate $20 to whatever?" And I was like, "Oh, cool. I can talk. This is the first, American that I talked to." And I was like, "Oh, sure." I'm just trying to be friendly and gave him $20, and he just walked away. So that's my first experience in the US. Yeah.
Maybe you used it to buy some food. I hope.
Yeah.
Well, good on you for having a good heart.
Maybe it's true. I donated to somebody, but maybe I donated to him, so he can have a meal. Yeah. You've done your public duty. Yeah.
And from there, so can you tell me about your experience in American school? Like, what was it like? Did they have a lot of what we see on TV? A lot of camaraderie as well, with like a pack mentality? Is that what it is?
That's you see on the TV. Sometimes you see on the TV that I think the first thing that you can think about American school is people just get together and drink and party and play beer pong.
Yeah, and American football, right?
Yeah, American football.
Cheerleaders.
Yeah.
And then they have their secret societies.
Yeah. Those are all true.
Oh wow! Okay.
And I mean it's and then you watch movie and they have those they call it fraternity.
Yes.
Yeah, and then they have the initiation process for the freshmen. They let the freshmen do all kind of crazy stuff like drink a lot of beer or jump off the roof and all. They're all true in some way. Yeah, I think they're all true.
Oh wow! Wait, did you witness any of this, or did you hear from secondhand information? To
be honest, I didn't witness all of this. I hear from friends or but the fraternity house usually they're located pretty close to the campus.
Yeah.
So in the morning I will walk by those houses and I will see people drinking, lying on the ground, lying on the floor sometimes, or even at night after 1 a.m. Sometimes I will walk from library to my place and I can still hear the music playing in the fraternity house really, really loud and people shouting and partying on like Tuesday night.
Yeah.
So
wow.
Because I was never a part of this because I don't drink too much. But to some extent they're all true.
Wow, amazing. And do they also have a walk of shame for like the 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, as we see on American TV shows.
Yeah, see, in the US, because there are a lot of universities, and there are some universities that are famous for their party culture. The university that I went to, I ended up going to Berkeley. The party culture wasn't that heavy.
Yeah.
But there are a couple of schools out there that's really, really famous for partying. I think in general consensus, I'm trying to, trying to be more politically correct. I think ASU, Arizona State University, is one of them.
Yeah.
And in California, this UC Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
I heard the Walk of Shame is actually from. They do have a Walk of Shame in UC Santa Barbara.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's a great university, great place. I've visited a couple of times. It's a nice area. Yeah.
But they just have a really strong bond. It's like, if we select you to be one of us, we need you to be initiated, and you have to become one of us.
Yeah. I think
bound by the guidelines.
Yeah, bound by the guidelines, and they purposely make it difficult to get initiated, so that this way, once they join, they value the membership more.
Okay. And then obviously the initiation, which is the embarrassment of that, is part of the process where you bond and you realize, okay, I've done the most shameful thing. Now we're all equal. So I hope in a way that you look back and go, maybe I should have joined a fraternity.
Maybe I should. Yeah. I picked the wrong major. My major was hardcore, but yeah.
What was your major?
I study mathematics.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
do they have a mathematics fraternity or?
Yes, they do have a mathematics club.
Okay.
So we eat pie on the 14th of March.
Because of pi 3.14.
There's a pie there. That's like a huge thing for us.
That is so...
Yeah. And we have so much of those science nerdy jokes that we talk to each other. I don't remember any of those now, but because I forget all the theories that I used to learn. But when we
Pythagoras theorem, did you do any of that?
Oh gosh, I'm sure I did all those, but because I don't do mathematics anymore. So it's been a long time. So.
Shut it off.
Yeah, shut it off. Our favorite show was Big Bang Theory because because that was our dream. One day we want to become, Sheldon, our own version of smart person doing research at a prestigious university. And so it's a different side of the university life.
Or because the fact that you are in Hollywood, that you could end up playing the Asian Sheldon, become an actor, but you actually know your math stuff.
Well, it's funny. I think when they make the Big Bang Theory, they actually hire a physicist, a physics professor from, I don't know whether it's Caltech or one of those university that it should become a consultant and just to make sure that all the theory that they talk about is correct.
No, I think they do a lot of that. They bring in a lot of consultants just to make sure. I mean, there's content as well. Because then the creators obviously are going to be very witty. They have to make it entertaining. All that dry stuff's got to be entertaining. Imagine if you were the Asian Sheldon. That'd be so cool. So you from what you're telling me, you completely fit into the stereotypical Chinese international student. You studied maths.
Yes.
You didn't party because you wanted to obviously pass your exam. You joined in on all the corny 3.14 pi contest. So did you break out of that stereotype? Like, did Americans see that kind of stereotype when it comes to international Chinese students, or in comparison to Australia, the Chinese international students were a little bit more outgoing?
You mean the US people, Chinese international students are more outgoing?
Yeah.
I think one thing about this is the one major difference between studying in the US and Australia is, I think in the US system they requires higher level of English abilities. So the international students that goes to US school, especially one of the so-called better schools, they're really good at their English, because we would just start conversation using English. And then after a while, we realize, oh, you're from China. So, yeah, I'm from China. And then we'll just completely understand each other. Okay. So, but I think currently they're lowering the standard more because they see, a lot of money is coming from China. They try to recruit more students. But back when I was in Berkeley, A lot of my friends like from China, they are very active in school societies. They blend in the local more.
Oh, wow, good. They were really active, like being the president of, let's say, a social club, and then
Yes.
they will just mingle with all the American students as well and other international students not from, let's say, a Chinese background.
Yeah, and I think some of my friends, they started their own club, and the club becomes really, really big.
Wow.
Yes, so they really try to assimilate into the local society, the local business culture. One of the club that my friend started in Berkeley is about entrepreneurs, and then in the end, because Berkeley is in Northern California, is near the Silicon Valley.
Yes.
So they invited a lot of tech startup business leaders, and then they grew really, really big. And they started as a Chinese club, but now it's 100% international.
Oh, excellent. Wow, what a success story.
Yeah.
So you've also had a stint in Silicon Valley, right?
Yeah, I mean, once after I graduated, I worked in Silicon Valley for about less than 2 years.
That's still quite solid.
Yeah. I started working as an analyst at one of the VC firm as a grad. Yeah.
And so I think the picture that we get painted with Silicon Valley is just something that's really fast-paced, and there's so many incredible people with great innovative ideas, and startups just shoot up. Did you get that vibe?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Religiously, I think. Yeah, because in the heart of the Silicon Valley, it's not only in the Silicon Valley, also in the schools such as Stanford, Berkeley, and some other schools like Cal State, a lot of California state universities. The Silicon Valley vibe, the entrepreneurship, the innovation is really popular, I would say, really, really heavy. And actually, at our school, the number one major, the major that most people study for, is electrical engineering and computer science. So a lot of people dream about being a millionaire, dream about solving a problem, using technology, and make the world a better place. So it is very fast paced. There's a lot of pressure too.
Okay, and the pressure, was that coming from the university itself, or just the pack mentality?
Just from everywhere. Just imagine you have the predecessors, Bill Gates, you have the Steve Jobs, all the predecessors coming before
Mark
you.
Zuckerberg,
Mark Zuckerberg, although he's from Harvard or whatever.
Oh, whatever.
You have all the predecessors, you have all the successful stories that's influencing you, and then you see all your friends are working really hard, trying to make a name for themselves.
Yeah.
And most importantly, there's a lot of money in the business. I think when I first graduated, that was 2014, 2015. At that time, people were talking about a shared economy. Uber was doing really well.
Yeah.
We're talking about cloud-based, Salesforce, Dropbox. They're doing fantastic.
Yeah.
And Airbnb, and you see all the success story. That's all it talks about on the news.
Yeah.
And of course I was influenced by it, and everybody was influenced by it.
Yeah, because in Australia there's not much in the news about entrepreneurs and startups or business in general. It's always about politics, and it's always about farmers who are not getting money, which I hope they're getting some money for drought assistance, or a lot of sport as well. So, the media, I think, plays a big role in shaping what the society is going forward with. Yeah. Yeah. So, so you stayed in Silicon Valley for about 2 years.
Yep.
Yeah. Why did you end up coming back to Australia? Oh, no, sorry. Why did you end up coming to Australia?
I think basically my visa.
Okay. That's right. Visa's an issue for internationals. I forget that all the time.
It's getting harder and harder to migrate to the US. Yeah. So my visa didn't work out. That's one thing. But of course, the second thing is I wanted to learn a solid skill, to be honest.
Okay.
Because I graduated with a mathematics major. I learned a lot of theories, a lot of high level theories that pretty much useless in real life.
But it's very niche though. It's technical skill set that it could be applied to any company, right?
Yeah. So I think mathematics helped me with my logical thinking skill and critical thinking skills, because the mathematics in that sense is actually a form of philosophy. It does really help me to have the mindset right. So after I come to the Australia, I started studying accounting. That really helped me to understand the concept more.
Still to do with money, and
the numbers.
You're still not money and number technically, and you're still feeling that stereotype of a Chinese international.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
We're not myth busting anything at the moment.
No myth.
Okay, so you started accounting, and the reason behind that was because you wanted to study accounting, or visa?
Okay, let me break some stereotypes.
Okay.
Oh no, I didn't study accounting just for the visa. I actually wanted to study accounting or finance because my working experience was in venture capital area as an analyst. So but sometimes I feel like I don't have a solid foundation to do my work. So I think of accounting or a finance job a degree can definitely help me to equip myself with a skill. That's why I come here and choose, and I have to choose between finance and accounting, and in the end I chose accounting.
Okay. How did you transition to the Australian system? Because I'm assuming the Australian system of education would be quite different to the US. Did you enjoy it, or did you find it a little bit slower?
A little bit slower, I think. The competition is not as harsh, and I didn't have to take my time to adjust to the system.
And probably the language, the accent. Right?
Yeah. The language is, a little bit. The language was the easy part, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the pace, I think. Australia is a lot slower than in the US.
Okay.
Yeah. And also, I think in the US, because all of your friends were talking about, trying to chase the dream, the American dream, trying to make it big. But in Australia, people just, they just want to live a good life.
Yeah.
So I remember when I first came to Australia, I was doing one of those, I think, career events.
Yeah.
I was being very aggressive. Trying to, so-called impress, quote unquote. And in the end, someone come to me and then says, so he told me that he had experience working in the US and also experience in Australia, and he told me to just turn down 2 levels, just be casual, enjoy yourself, just be yourself. You don't have to be so aggressive all the time
and try to impress everyone.
Yeah. So that's one of the big. That is one of the things that I have to adjust. Is the cultural difference between America and Australia.
So less about selling yourself and more about just being yourself and being genuine. Yeah. Which I'm sure a lot of Americans are also genuine.
Yeah.
But the most Americans, they come across as being really confident, and when they speak with with a lot of stature, and they're very assertive.
Yeah.
So now that you can compare the 2 or 3 even with Singapore, how do you feel being in well, you're not an Australian yet, are you?
I'm a permanent resident. But
Oh, technically Australian. So how do you feel now? Do you feel relaxed and this is going to be it for you, or are you going to move to another country later on?
I enjoy staying in Australia. I love Australia a lot. I think I've made a lot of friends. I'm working in an Australian company. I think the experience of me traveling around the world, it really helped me to, I would say in some way, find myself and just be comfortable with myself. Because before, I think traveling to other places, sometimes I would think, oh, am I not being local, I speak English with an accent. Will people think different of me? But at this point, I think I'm just being comfortable with myself and just really focus on develop myself, right? Just soft skill and hard skill and my career and my family too. So, and then for the next step, I don't know. Currently, I'm very happy that I'm in Australia. I'm very thankful for that. But I think being as a international citizen, going abroad to another country is always on the table. It really depends on opportunities. And I'm always excited to travel to another country. And I think this time I will be more comfortable and more confident of just going out and being myself and bring the thing that's in me to the local society, to the community, and just contribute.
Okay, excellent. So when you were between landing in Australia and now, did you engage in a lot of university societies as well, or start a society, or partake in any extracurricular activities such as sport?
Sports not so much. I still have to. I
thought you were a basketball fan.
I am, but I still have to learn the Aussie sports. Right?
Okay.
I'm watching some rugbies here and there. And I think I slowly, getting the hang of it and slowly understand the game.
There's so many different types of Australian football.
I'm not even going to go into football at this moment. I'm just one thing at a time.
I'll definitely need to do an episode on how many types of football is there in Australia.
Let's do rugby and then cricket and then football. One thing at a time. But at the university, I did start my own club. They're still surviving.
Oh, good. See, there you go. That's your American coming out of you.
And then I volunteer a bit in the local community. And I have friends who are actually Australian, Australians.
Yeah.
So which is very nice.
Yeah. So you seem like okay. When I say you dealt with maths, numbers, accounting, which is you're a very stereotypical international Chinese student, but you found the time and you actually wanted to engage outside of your study. So how do you find making friends with let's say Americans or Australians? Or the Americans or Australians with Asian background or other international background.
Yeah, I'll just be honest with you. I think
You're gonna be honest with me. I thought you were honest with me the whole time.
Oh yeah, that's true.
You've been lying to me this whole time.
Well, okay. I think I had an easier time to find American friends.
Okay.
Only because I think American has been exporting their culture for so many years and living in China, even though growing up in the 90s, I watched Friends, I listened to, hip hop, I watched basketball, and I play, video games, American video games. So I had a lot in common with, I think, American friends.
Yeah.
But once I transitioned to Australia, sometimes I did have some difficulty, starting a conversation with, or having a good conversation with Aussie, because, the culture that we grew up in is so different.
Yeah. American culture is a little bit different compared to Australian culture.
Because oftentimes it really depends on the pop culture that you're exposed to when you're a kid. And I think between China and Australia, there's a really huge gap.
There's a huge gap. And America kind of sort of almost not fits in the middle, but definitely in between the China and Australia. Yeah. So it's easier to build commonalities through that way. Yeah. So, just because you can speak English, it doesn't mean sometimes that the cultural side is aligned as much.
Yeah. I think the cultural side is the most difficult because sometimes I will feel like, my friends are laughing, they talk about something and they start laughing and I was like, what are they laughing about? What's so funny about that? Right? I think the culture side is more challenging than the language.
And Australian slang, that's a whole new bucket of stuff that I don't think any other country understands. Yeah,
Australian slang, but despite all the differences and difficulties, sometimes having an open mind, it definitely helps. Yeah. When talking about I had a very fond memory about Australian slangs that when I was when I first met my Australian friends, at the time I was in a university. And the university was hosting a welcoming program. Yeah. So they gave out booklets full of Australian slang, basically like a dictionary of Australian slang. And what happens is we start quizzing each other.
So were you quizzing with your other international friends or with Aussie friends?
Well, first the Aussie. So first I will quiz the international friends.
Yes.
And then we score really, really low. And then after that, the Aussie friends will start to quiz us. I think my score is pretty well. Yeah.
So do you know any slangs that you can throw at me?
I was some. I still remember some. I think.
Which was the weirdest one that you remember, or something that really got you wondering?
Oh gosh, there's one that that I just cannot make sense of it.
Yeah.
It's called like she'll be alright or
She'll be alright. She'll be alright.
Because I always wonder like who's she. If I'm referring to a man, like do I think because I don't know, my mathematical mindset just come out.
It's not logical.
It's not logical.
That's a he. I can't say she'll be alright.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is kind of funny. Oh, one question that I always ask, and I forgot to ask you about this one, was when you got off the plane from obviously US to Australia?
It's just China to Australia.
Okay. Anyway, when you arrived in Australia, did you get scammed? What happened? What memory do you remember Australia by?
Well, the answer is no.
Okay, good.
Yeah, Australians are very helpful.
Did they ask you to be on border security, that TV show?
No.
Okay, all right.
No, yeah. I mean, it's easier. The security it's not as strict in the US. And people at the airport are very helpful. They help me open my, get my phone done. Take me to the bus station. Yeah.
This is the Sydney International, right?
Sydney International.
Yeah.
I have to take the bus to Canberra. So, I think Australians are helpful. I think this.
Yeah, they
isn't
are.
that the stereotype? The stereotype.
Yeah. Australians are more helpful, more trusting, less scamming.
Yeah, less scamming.
But just a little bit slower sometimes, enjoying life too much.
Yeah.
All right, excellent. Well, I'm going to end this with a quick 5 question. So you have to say the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
These are not very difficult questions, but they're sort of like,
Right. Okay.
I've never done this with any guest, but I thought I'd.
What? I'm the first one?
Yeah, you're the guinea pig. Okay, ready?
Okay, ready.
Right. Favorite food?
Chicken noodle.
Favorite comic book or character?
Ooh, Captain America.
Beer or scotch?
Beer, definitely.
Favorite Australian animal?
Australian animal? Koala.
Okay. You should have said kangaroo because that's what Captain Bagrat is. I even put it there so you would say kangaroo. But anyway, noodles or pasta?
Noodle.
Okay. Where's home?
That's such a...
I didn't get you.
Right now it's Australia.
Okay. Thank you. Because I was like, after we do this episode, I want to see where you actually call home. And I knew you were going to hesitate.
It's a trick question.
Well, thank you so much,
thank
Will.
you very much. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed being on this and this, this random way of having a conversation.
Yeah, I enjoy it very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Made in International China. Yeah. Hey, thanks for listening to this week's podcast. For the latest updates and posts, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you love it as much as Captain Bagrat and I do, please support us on Patreon, where we hope that our dream of having our own TV show will become a reality one day. So then we can continue to fight boring news on everything, anything, and nothing with an Asian twist. Thanks for your support. Bagrat out. Solid.